Today's session, we're going to cover an indicator called volume profile, and we're going to look at the basic volume and what is volume profile indicator, how does it help us, and then various strategies of using volume profile analysis, and how do we scan for stocks that are meeting the criteria within volume profile analysis. So it's a very easy indicator, very simple topic. We should cover it pretty quick, and we will move on to the questions. So this is a Tesla 1 year, 1 day chart, and each candle here represents 1 day. And then we have the basic volume down here. So each bar here represents the market participants that have traded Tesla. And you can basically look where you have huge volume versus the next day where there is very little volume in relation to the previous day. So these bars right here are the volume bars that are in respect to time. So each bar represents 1 day right here. If I move from a daily chart to a 4-hour chart, each bar here on the volume here, it represents one 4-hour time frame here. So each bar is 4 hours, right? So the volume that we usually see everywhere that people use this volume right here, it's in correlation to time and how many market participants have participated in this stock with respect to time, right? So if within this 4-hour window, if the stock has gone from 0 to 100, this will capture the amount of market participants or the trading volume within that 4 hours. It will not capture anything with respect to price. It will only capture the volume with respect to time, this section right here, right? So let me switch back to 1 year, 1 day. So each bar right here represents a day because I have switched to a daily chart. So when you see there's a spike in volume, that means on this particular day, there is a huge volume on this particular stock compared to the other days right here, because you can visually see that this bar has gone all the way above and it's on 1025. The only day that we have volume as close as this day is on 309. So after pretty much 7 months, we are having huge volume. That means there's a lot of market interest coming into the stock, and you can very well see there is a huge gap here, followed by a breakout. So you can see, like, it's, if you simply would have followed this volume right here, it just blasted all the way, and then you had a huge gap, and then a gap up from let's say 1028 to 1243 in the options universe. That would have been a lot, right? So let's look at volume profile indicator. What is volume profile, right? So volume profile basically captures the volume. Instead of time, it would capture the volume with respect to price. What I mean by that is, we would have heard many people talking about a stock is going in a consolidation phase, a stock is moving sideways. And then if a stock is basically moving sideways for like several weeks and months, that means the chances of that stock breaking out or breaking down is pretty high, because the buyers and sellers have come to an agreement on the price. That means there are no bids above the ask price. So the buyers and sellers have come to a conclusion like, okay, so for this stock during this interval, this appears to be a reasonable price. And then comes the new buyers, new money, and then the stock goes up. But how do we know that there is new money coming in to a particular stock? New buyers coming into a particular stock. Like, people would have bought Tesla in 2019, 2018, 2017. They're probably not selling. If they are not selling, and if the old buyers are just shorting, or like if new buyers are not coming, then the stock will pretty much go in a sideways range. But then when the fresh money comes, that means when a new institute or new retail traders, they start looking at the Tesla or any other chart for that stock for that matter, that's when a stock will break out. That's when there will be an imbalance in conviction between buyers and sellers. So to capture that, we have a default indicator within Thinkorswim, and I think this is in pretty much all the platforms that we have out there. So this volume profile right here will be a default indicator right here. And one more thing, if you guys have any questions, please post it in the chat. Once we are done with this demonstration, I will go through each and every question and then try to answer as much as I can. So if you have a volume, if you guys are using Thinkorswim, basically you go to studies, you click on edit studies, and then in the search bar, you type volume profile, or you can just type volume pro, you'll get it. And then you have this volume profile, and then you add, you basically add selected. So it will come here, right here. And then you click on apply, for example. So this is how you will see the volume profile. If you do not edit anything, and if you simply plot the volume profile on your chart, this is how it will plot. So we have to look at few components here, but then before we move into these components, I will help you beautify this thing a little, so it will actually look a little pretty on your charts. So go to edit status, and next to the volume profile, click on this gear icon here, and this on expansion from S, select no. And then the opacity from 50, you can switch it back to 20, and I'll tell you what it is. So what we did was, instead of the volume profile forming on the right side of the chart, we made it fit into the chart. And the opacity, what we changed is nothing but the color of this particular volume bars right here. We changed that from 50% to 20%, so it looks light. And then we can have a good visual of the candles when we have this chart right here. So if we look at this whole chart with volume profile, you will look this chart in a whole different perspective now. Without this, you were like, okay, so it's going side, so then it went up, right? But how would you have a conviction to know that this right here is where new buyers are coming in, or this right here is where new buyers are coming in, right? So by plotting the volume profile, we will be able to see a clear pictorial representation of the buyers and sellers and the new buyers and the new sellers right here, right? So this is the volume profile, and then I'll go through the settings again. So you go to the settings, leave everything as is, but on volume, on expansion, just select from yes to no, and the opacity, just change it to 20, right? And then the value area %70, I will explain in a minute what that means. Okay, so this is the volume profile. These two bars are the high and low of this volume profile that covers the 70% of the volume. And this right here is called POC. That's called the point of control or price of control, as someone call it. So this red line right here, it plots automatically. That means at this price point, $680.58 is where you have the highest volume on Tesla in the last 1 year, because this is a 1 year, 1 day chart. In the last 1 year, if you want to look at which price point you have a lot of volume, volume basically means us, people, institutions. So this is where we have the biggest volume in the last 1 year, $680.58. What does that mean? That means, like, if the stock has to cross $680, there would be potentially two things that might happen. The people who missed out to buy at this range, they could potentially buy at 680. And if this breaches below the 680, that means there is a good chance that people have either lost faith on the stock and they might probably be selling off, right? But when Tesla was taking off, for example, at around these days, around August, September, October timeframe. So how do we basically use this volume profile indicator to our advantage, right? So you have this point of control right here that's saying 680. And then you have the stock that is leaving above this volume profile right here. That means there are new buyers coming in because all the buyers, all the existing buyers and sellers are right here. When the stock is leaving this range right here, there's some consolidation. And then you can clearly see a big jump in the stock right above this level. If you want, you can just right click and then add a drawing, and then you can mark a price level. Right here, you can clearly see a change in momentum for the stock. It went all the way up here. That means in the last 1 year, the stock has consolidated around this range. And then as it is leaving this point of control right here, the stock has rallied to the upside, right? So this is point of control. What that means is this is where the maximum amount of market participants have traded this stock around this price range. Remember, this volume right here, this is a representation of the volume in terms of time. Each bar represents the volume per day. This volume profile right here represents the volume with respect to price. Remember, there are only two leading indicators in the whole stock market: price and volume. Those are the only two leading indicators. Everything else is lagging indicator, right? So you need to understand how a stock is moving, and you should be able to visually see a stock, how the price is behaving, how is it moving up or down. If a stock is moving up, it is very clear that it is moving up. If it is moving down, it is clear it's moving down. So we have to be able to visually see and say that a stock is moving up. But if a stock is moving above this particular volume profile range right here, that means there is a high probability, there is no guarantee like anything else in stock market, there is a high probability that the stock will break higher. It's a probability. So in this case, for example, if someone is trading at it, it's pretty much a big move from 774 all the way to 1243. But you know what? It has done this a couple of times in the past. So I don't want to take a chance at this point. It's too early for me to determine that I will enter a trade at this point. I want a better confirmation. That is why we have a volume profile high and a volume profile low. What this does is basically plots a high and low covering 70% of the volume, wherever that is. It will plot a simple high and low that covers 70% of the total volume that we have on the chart, right? So what's happening here is from the point of control, you have a high and a low. If you basically look closely, the low pretty much acts like support, because below this, there is no volume in the last 1 year. What that means is if the stock crosses this line with full volume, with a great volume, that means the stock is going to break down. And then if I minimize this, you'll actually see like, okay, where will it go down, right? So it will go down all the way from 557 to maybe 300, 200, which may not happen for a stock like Tesla, but I'm just saying in general, if you look at any other stock, if a stock is breaking below the volume profile low, this is the volume profile low, and this is the volume profile high, that means there is a high chance that the stock will go down, because the majority of the volume buyers and sellers are at this range. It has broken this. That means the people, either whoever is holding here, they're selling it, or the new sellers, short sellers, institutions, and research institutions who would basically find a weak stock and short it. They will come here and they will start shorting this stock here. On the other side, if a stock is basically breaking above the volume profile high, that means there is a high probability that the stock will actually trend towards the upside with a greater momentum. Remember, these are all new buyers, new sellers. This is new volume, for the lack of better terms, in the last 1 year. These guys have not traded Tesla at these price levels in the last 1 year. They are now interested to buy or sell Tesla at these price levels. These are new guys right here. This green thing right here, this is new population. It could be the same guys placing new trades, but it's just like new people right here. These are old guys that have been buying, selling, or holding Tesla. These are all old guys. These are all new volume, new participants. That means new price action, right? So when you have a volume profile indicator, you can clearly see where are the new buyers and sellers coming in, and then where are the existing people that are there. Now, the volume profile also helps in a different way. Like when a price really crosses this volume profile high right here, the volatility of a stock will actually increase. What that means is instead of the stock moving slowly up and down, up and down, up and down, when the stock actually breaks this, it will actually move up or down pretty quickly. The stock which is above the volume profile on a 1 year, 1 day chart is most volatile because these guys are new. They will buy and sell. We don't know their intention. These are not buy and hold guys for sure, because the buy and hold are, the buyers and sellers that have been trading the stock from last 1 year are here. So on 10/18 is when the stock has broke the volume profile high, retested, and then broke again with full volume. So the regular volume in conjunction with volume profile will give you a clear indication of whether a stock is breaking up or whether a stock is breaking down, right? Now let's look at some charts. We have looked at Tesla. I look at few charts that have broken the volume profile, and so we understand how the price is behaving. So I have this note for myself. This is my personal note. What happens is as time goes, the volume profile, these lines will also shift, because this is 1 year, 1 day chart. That means it will only capture 1 year worth of information. As each day passes, the old volume will pass from this chart, and then you will find this volume profile adjusting itself to the new volume that's coming in. But for the most part, this will not move drastically, but it will move slowly one by one, like a point by point. So this volume profile high used to be here. I think it's probably here at 1667. So this is my note for myself, like a gap up on ER and then a move outside volume profile right here. That means there is a potential for this stock to move higher once it moves above the volume profile, right? So let's look at Apple, for example. So you can see when a stock is actually making a move outside the volume profile, it is actually making a bigger move. You don't have to trade every single setup, right? We don't have to trade every single setup out there. We don't have to follow every single indicator out there. We have to pick one indicator that we feel comfortable, and then we have to trade that one indicator, using that one indicator, and then see how we go, right? So volume profile is one of those good things right there. Now, let's look at SPY, for example, and then see what happened. So the volume profile high is at 470, and then it actually tried to break it once, break it twice, thrice, fourth time it did break a little, and then it followed back, and then again. You look, this perfectly acted as a resistance right here, the volume profile. Why is it resistance? Because there are no buyers or no buyers above this line. This is where you have the 70% of your volume in this box right here. So if this has to actually break, you need to have a huge volume right here. and then it will actually go up. And that's where the prices will move higher and higher. And then if you would have seen the same chart like 6 months below, this point of control would have been somewhere here. And then the volume profile would have been somewhere here, the volume profile high. And then that's when the stock has broken above and it was trending higher. But then in the last 1 year, this is where we have the maximum volume. It couldn't break it once, twice, thrice, almost it broke, but then it couldn't 4, 5 times. And then it couldn't, it's just going down, right? And then if, for example, hope it doesn't happen, but for example, let's just say if SPY is going below 410, that's pretty much an indication where hell has broken loose, and we probably have to cover our positions on the long side and pretty much turn bearish, right? We can also trade between these two lines from low to high. When a stock hits the low, you can trade all the way to high. And then when a stock breaches high and goes inside, you can play all the way to the low, because there would be a strong support around this area right here, 416 and 410. If someone doesn't like drawing support and resistance lines, volume profile is your go-to. And if you basically look at any of the big traders out there, momentum-based traders, they don't openly admit that they use volume profile for whatever reason that I don't understand. But for the most part, if you carefully listen to their interviews or podcasts, you will understand that if you read between the lines, you will understand that they will give a reference of volume profile every now and then, because that's where they know that new buyers are coming in, because that's where, you know, Rolex, right? So you have a volume point of control here, and then look, it couldn't break the high, but then on the ER, it made a gap up above the volume profile. It made a big move followed by a downside move on the Rolex, right? And let's look at TTD. So TTD, same thing, volume, a big gap above volume profile, big move from around $88 to 114. You guys have to look this in perspective of options. For example, if you're looking at stocks, that's okay. But then in terms of options, if you really catch this stock when it is breaching above the volume profile at $88, if you really buy a call, for example, this would have been like, I don't know, like maybe 1,000%. If it goes from 88 to 114, if you buy a $90 call or something, right? So let's look at some other stock. Now, on the downside, for example, look at AFRM, for example, on the downside. It went all the way up, and then it went all the way down. And then when it breached this 70% outside of the volume profile, I think I've seen many people saying like, oh, it's filling a gap, it's filling a gap, it's filling a gap. Now it's gonna make a U-turn and go up. Fine, I mean, it filled a gap, but it actually went down because the volume in the last 1 year is around this range. So it's pretty much like once it broke this point, that means the majority of the volume, they are short on this position, like they're no longer holding this, and then it just drops down. And let's look at one more chart here. Upstart, basically, it has 1, 2, it's almost at the verge of this volume profile right here, 86. And if it goes below 86, for example, for say, it is expected to go down even more. So we see like people say like, hey, it was at $400 like in the month of October, and it is at $92. It's pretty cheap. Well, you have to think twice, because if it fell from $400 to $92, then something is wrong, right? Fundamentally, something is wrong. And the people who have pushed it from here and all the way here, they're actually selling in to the retail, right? So you have to understand. And I think this is a note that I made to myself, 12/02/2021 in December. ER gap down, missed it, may go more downside, trade with ORB if needed. This is a note I made at this candle. For some reason, I did not trade Upstart, but if I would have traded, it went really from $250 all the way to $92. This would have been a game-changing and account-changing trade for me, but I did not trade. So this is pretty much like, let me see if, so for example, FCEL, it broke down. I shorted this somewhere around this range. And let's look at GME. It did not. Let's look at some other stocks like Amazon. Oh, all right, guys. Amazon, great example here. So 3177. I think I remember I posted this in the options chat as well. I think because it has like 1, 2, 3, 4 times it took this point as support, and it basically broke this, and then it basically went from like, I mean, pretty much pretty much we all can just have this one thing right here and then trade and make really good money. Like really just this one thing. I know we all go through like many indicators every week, but the intention of us going through all these indicators is that if I have 200 people on the call, or 100 people, or 50 people, or 20 people on the call, one person may like Bollinger Bands, one person may like volume profile, and one person may like TTM squeeze, one person may like EMA clouds. Each person will see an indicator in a different way. So we go through all these indicators and try to, make your learning curve little short, so you guys can pick up things from here. You can plot these things and you can play from here. So Amazon, someone posted in the chat, like, see, look, I mean, it's like 1,000, like how much is that? Like 3,175 to 2,841. Like that's a big move right here. I mean, these kind of moves you can like just. I will show you a simple scanner on how to do it. You can basically scan for stocks that are basically going above or below the volume profile, right? And this is pretty much it, right? So you guys have to remember one key trick. Let me remove this, for example. Well, if you look at it like this, maybe you would have drawn a support level right here, maybe here, 3172. But then what if you're not good at drawing support and resistance? Well, don't worry. You can plot volume profile and then go to settings, on expansion, no, and then change this opacity from 50 to 20. Then you can actually see where is all the volume, and when it breaks, this is where it broke, and then there is no support. I mean, there is no volume. All the volume is here. So once it breaks this right here, it goes down. And then again here, you see it took here as a support, but then I think they have a bad earnings, and then it just gapped down huge and went down. Took a support here. It basically traded between these two lines as support and resistance. Here, one more resistance, one more resistance, one more resistance. I mean, on Amazon, you can pretty much just plot this thing and then do your trading, right? And let's look at a couple of more examples. What are some of the key stocks that we are trading these days? Rolex, TTD, Upstart, Facebook, pretty choppy. But then again, yeah. So it's at Verge. If you look at this, 1, 2, no, not this one. Three times it took support at this line. This look more intense, but then if it basically crosses around 301, that's like if it breaks 300, you can expect more downside. Do not think a stock like Facebook cannot go down, because Amazon is as strong as Facebook is, but it did manage to go down. So let's look at Google, for example. It was forming a strong base. It just couldn't break this with huge volume. And then it's basically going down, and there's quite some way for Google to break this. But then if you look at here, this is where the actual consolidation has happened. Once it broke this level right here, it went all the way from 2,134 to somewhere around 3,000, right? So, and then we can look at a few more examples, and then I will show you a couple of scanners on how you can scan this. So Ford is a pretty straightforward. Here is where the volume profile high was on when the ER breakout has happened. So around $16. That's a big move. So NEE, so it tried to break once, nothing happened, and then it tried to break the second time. It went all the way from 84 to 93, and then it's breaking down. And then if it breaks down below 71, that's a good opportunity to short it. And let's look at Etsy, one of my favorite stocks. So it broke above, and then from here it went all the way down, and then here it tried to take a turn, try to take some support right here. It couldn't, and then it just broke down. And I mean, it just broke down from 185 to 153. It's a big move. So that's SE sister square, perfect chart, right? Look here, it was trading between this range, broke down, and then it broke down at 209. It is at 117. Someone would have caught this, traded this around this range, would have been a massive winner. $1,000 would have turned into, I think, maybe 20, 30,000, I don't know. Netflix, well, Netflix is kind of like I don't think it has anything to do with the volume profile. I mean, it has like this big bad ER, and I don't know. I cannot basically count Netflix drop below the volume profile. However, what I can say is it's pretty weak right now. I mean, there's a chance it can just go slightly up, take a pullback, and drop down even more if the market is weak. So this is Netflix, and then I mean, when it broke from here at $600, it went all the way to 700. That's a $100 move if you want to catch that on the upside. And if there was no ER, and if it was organically dropping down below this 483 range, that's when I would have believed that volume profile would have played a role in its drop. But this is purely a very bad ER. So I will go through all those stickers that you guys are posting in a minute, but let me go through something else right here. If you actually see, when you plot this indicator on your chart, if you see left axis as checked in, make sure to uncheck it, so you will not have some gaps on the left side of your chart. So make sure the expansion is no and the left axis is unchecked, and the opacity is around 20. What I like to do is I like to change the opacity to 0. So I just have lines. I don't have those volume, because that's just a pictorial representation of volume. I don't need it. All I need is high, low, and point of control. So I have those. So I will just simply remove those, make it 0. Now, if you want the value percent from 70% to 90% per se, you can change it. So it will basically show you the high and low with 90%, where 90% of the volume is. This is where 10% of the volume is, which you can use if you want to play the breakout on 90s. I like it at 70, so I usually keep it to default 70%. So this, in a nutshell, is how we can use the volume profile indicator. And I will show you some scans on how to basically scan for a stock that is actually going above or below the volume profile. So if you go to scan in Thinkorswim, and then I will give you guys this script in the chat right here, but you can basically go here under scan, and then under a new study, you can click add filter, click study, and then click this drop down here, go to custom, and you will get this pop-up window right here, and then go to Thinkscript editor, and then I'm going to paste this script in the chat right here. And let me do that while we are here. Okay, so you all have that script in the chat. So what this particular script does is it will basically look for the close if it is actually above the volume profile high or below the volume profile low on a daily chart, right? You can click OK. And then If you want to scan it only in, for example, S&P 500 that intersects with all optionable, you don't have to exclude all OTC, but I did. Then you will basically have all the stocks that have that are actually above the volume profile indicator. Now, because I did it for S&P 500, it is showing me 196. But if you have your own watch list of, let's say, 30 stocks, for example, right here, these are the stocks that I usually trade. Those are like, it says S&P top 30, but I have around 50 stocks. So out of 50 stocks, I have 23 stocks that are actually above the volume profile. So that means I'm basically have to look at these 23 charts and see which one I like, and then trade that. If not, then I'll also post you a script that will basically scan for the stocks that are just crossing the volume profile. I will post it in the options group. But then this is pretty much how you can scan for the stocks that are outside the volume profile. That's how you can trade it. So let me look at the questions right now. We are almost at 1:45. We will sharply close the session at 2:05 Central Standard Time. So I will go through the questions right here, and then we'll go through one by one. The volume profile for stocks are both, options are both. I would not use the volume profile for options, but then the concept is same. You can use it for stocks, or I think you can use it for options as well. It basically shows the volume on both stocks and options. Which website do we need to log in to see this? Yeah, Thinkorswim. The recording so it can be revisited for better understanding. Sure, it's being recorded and will be shared once we are done with the session. Could you please show us a sample on how you do the back testing? So back testing in itself is a whole different concept, and let me show you. I can give you a quick glimpse on how I do my back testing. How I do the back testing, for example. But then this is not a session for back testing per se. But then this is how I basically do my back testing. And I have multiple strategies that I basically plot on Thinkorswim. And I also have some strategies that I play around on a different tool called TradeStation. That's also a brokerage, just like Thinkorswim. So this is how I do the back testing. And how I do a back testing is I give a bunch of conditions to buy and sell. Automatic trades, so I don't do anything. So let's just say if I have if I'm trading Apple, and if I just simply buy and sell 100 stocks whenever my indicator is met, for example, whenever my conditions are met, over the last 360 days, I would also go back to like 5 years, 10 years time frame, not on Thinkorswim but on TradeStation. But if I simply trade 100 stocks using my strategies, I have a bunch of them. Let's just say right now I would have been in a profit of $5,493 over a period of last 360 days on Apple, for example. If it is Tesla, I would be in a profit of $75,000, and Ford. It's around $1,367. So that's how I backtest. That itself is a different concept. I don't want to dig into that concept at this point, but I think we will have a separate session to go through those backtesting, how I do, and things of that nature. For sure, yes, we will cover the backtesting things here. Could you show recently AFRM Upstart? I think we have gone through that. Same institutions who have bought earlier while prices on a could have increased again. Right. So when I say new volume, that means new buying or new buyers. Same institution will be able to, or should be, or probably is actually buying once it is above the volume profile high. It could be the same volume, it could be the same institution buying it again because it's breaking out. We checked that Amazon, can you look at volume profile on 30 minutes? For sure. Sure, we can do that. 10-day, 30 minutes. This is how it looks like. You can trade on 30 minutes. You can trade on 5-day, 5 minutes. You can trade it on any time frame you want. It's not a mandate that you have to trade it on any particular time frame. I like it on higher time frames, above 1 hour. You can basically play it on 30 minutes or 15 minutes, whichever chart time frame you like. So how do you know how far below or above it will go when the volume? No one knows that, how far above or below it goes. So once it breaks, we have to set up a 10 moving average or a 20 moving average on a daily chart, and then we have to trade it, use it as a trailing stop loss and trade it. No one knows how far it will go. How to set up multiple chart windows with multiple screens. So you go here, and then if you want, you add one more screen. If you want one more screen, you can add one more screen. If you don't want anything, you can just remove that. So Sentinel is yes, right? So let's look at 1 year, 1 day. It's actually breaking down below S. So FB, I think we looked at SC, we looked at CP&G. I would be surprised if it is not under the volume profile. Yeah, it is. See, I mean the momentum just accelerates once it goes below. So and also the market condition is pretty bad. But then this stock is going down from almost 7th month. So the market condition did play a little role, but then it just accelerated its downtrend. So I think I checked forward. We can look at IBM. IBM is rejecting down. CTXS, I don't know what that stock is. It has pretty much like just gapping up, gapping down, but then this is CTXC. Microsoft, did we not check Microsoft already? Microsoft, yeah, it just went under the volume profile, but then it has quite a way. But you know, like I say, if it breaks this, that means the momentum to the downside is more. If it breaks this, it's not good. Netflix, we looked at how to understand the action when it reaches the volume pockets, thin volume areas. Well, when it reaches the thin volume areas, that means it's basically leaving the heavy volume area. That means new buyers are coming if it is actually leaving the point of control, or new sellers are coming if it is leaving the point of control to the downside. Is volume profile and RSI indicator are similar? No, RSI is not similar to volume profile. RSI has no relation to volume for that matter. As a matter of fact, RSI, let's look at this. Okay, so as a matter of fact, RSI basically shows us there are only two kinds of people in the market. There are only two ways of playing the whole stock market. One is mean reversion and one is momentum play. What is mean reversion and what is momentum play? So there are people who will buy a stock when it hits the 30 right here, and then they'll play all the way up to 70. That's mean reversion. What is momentum? Momentum is there are people who will buy when it is at above 70, and then they will trade all the way up till, I don't know how they have the profit targets, but that's how they will play the trend. So there are only two types of people in the market: mean reversion from 30 to 70, and then people who are momentum traders who will buy a stock above 70 and then ride the momentum all the way up. So RSI has no correlation to volume profile because it doesn't measure volume in the way that volume profile does. So let's get rid of RSI because I don't use it really. I have the script. Do you have the script in TradingView? I do not have a script in TradingView, but I'm pretty sure it's in TradingView for sure. I don't use TradingView. how to look for what option contracts are currently hot for both calls and puts, Shrikant. I think there is a scanner, one of our Think, one of the guys in Thinksabio, I think he provided option scanner. Let me see, where is that? Options volume scanner here. So this is a scanner that one of our guys, one of the guys in Thinksabio, I'm sorry, I don't recollect the name. He has provided this, so I can provide this to you, and you guys can use it if you want. So this is a scanner that I got from one of our Thinksabio. So how do you look at option? That's the answer to your question, Srikant. That's how you scan for the contracts that are having high open interest and high volume. And so volume profile combined with Bollinger Bands, Kelso channels works better, as you mentioned in the last video. Yeah, it actually works pretty good. When a stock is in a squeeze above the volume profile or below the volume profile, that means it is actually consolidating above the volume profile, which means the intensity of it breaking up or down is very high. So that is true. A volume profile helps in conjunction with Bollinger Bands and Keltner channels. Also, you can use TTM squeeze. Can you please show us how to scan a query for our watch list? So you have to go to your scan, and then this script is here, and then scan in right here. So you can basically pull up a watch list from here, and you can select any watch list that you want, your personal or public, and then you have to hit scan. So it will scan in that particular watch list. Where can we find previous sessions recordings? I would like to watch them. They're all on the YouTube channel, Thinksabio YouTube channel, so you can go and watch them. Once the stock has broken the lower range of volume profile, can you change to higher time frame to see where the next supports could be? You can do that for sure. For example, if I go from daily to weekly, then Microsoft is actually far above the volume profile on a 3-year time frame. So you can basically say, like, if you're trading using daily, but then you want to see what is the support, 228 is a support on the weekly, so you can use that as a support. And that's a really, really good question. Thank you so much for asking that. And pretty much, like, if you notice, like, the support on the weekly would also probably be the support on the VA low on the daily time frame. That's a really good question. So where can we find the previous session? You would like to watch them? The same question. Yeah, they are in the YouTube channel. Can you please show again how to draw volumes, support, and resistance lines? In this session, we did not draw any volume, support, resistance lines. I mean, if you are talking about simple support and resistance, you can right click, add a drawing, and then you can add a price level. And then you can just plot at a point where you have visibly some resistance or some support that it took. And you can basically have the price level there. Or if you want to basically make a comment, you can click on edit properties. You can make it as support 1. And you can click OK, and then you will have a support 1 line here. If you don't want it, you can remove the drawing. So that's how you draw support and resistance. Again, there is this area like 238 where you have a lot of consolidation followed by one support right here. So this could be another area where you can draw a support. Can you show one example of having moving averages and volume profile? Having both on the same chart will help in decision making. Absolutely, it will. So let's take a cloud. So you have multiple here. So when a particular stock, for example, Microsoft is breaking above the volume profile, you can basically use these. And then when the trend is breaking here, you can exit somewhere here, right? This is a 513 or 512, 513, yeah, 512 cloud. So you can simply use 512 on a daily chart if you're just using, trading, swing trading, and then you can pretty much, when it crosses the volume profile, you can just ride it all the way till here, and then you can exit somewhere here if you want. And same way to the downside. Square, for example, I mean, yeah, simple. When it breaks down the volume profile, you can simply use the 513 exponential moving average on a daily chart to basically short the hell out of this thing. I mean, it's very easy. That's a good question again. Thank you. Can someone please repost the script? Had to log in and lost the chat. Let me see. So this is the script in the chat. Okay, so MVIS stock, MVIS. All right, here, MVIS, it broke the volume profile at around 929. From there, if you are thinking it will go up, you're wrong. But if you have shorted it, you are pretty much right, and you probably would have made a lot of money. And Ecolab, I don't know what's the ticker for Ecolab. ECL. Yep, it had a huge gap down. And then you may wanna the stock to catch up with the 10-20 moving average on the daily chart. And if you want to short it, you can probably short it at that time frame. Don't just short it now, because it might just go sideways. I will give you a simple example, because I know how it happens. When there is a huge gap down, the stock will try to search for the 10-20 moving average, and then once it hits that, it will drop down. So if you see a huge drop, don't immediately short it. Wait for the price to stabilize and then short it. I mean, I can show you like 100 examples where price has gapped down and traded sideways. So Ecolab is done. If playing options, when a stock breaks volume profile, how far calls? So how far calls or puts is basically on your conviction. If you're basically trading a stock that you are really bullish on long term and is a high quality stock like Netflix, Microsoft, Apple, Google, whatever, right? You may want to pick up a month away at least to give it some time. And you can probably go like four strikes or 3 strikes above the price out of the money, so you don't spend some insane money on those calls or puts. But then if you're just playing like a stock like AMC or Lucid or anything as such, you can probably buy like a couple of weeks away and then just buy at the money. And you can just get away with it because they quickly move. They move pretty quick, right? So NVDA. Here is where it basically broke. This is where the volume profile is. Back when I was trading NVDA using volume profile, it's at 240. And it basically gapped up above the volume profile and it went all the way to 346. This is basically a great trade for me back then. Have you used this for Bitcoin? Does it? Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, yesterday I posted a chat on Bitcoin, and yeah, it actually works for Bitcoin as well. Look, it took a base support at around 31,000 range. So if at all you are thinking about price to stabilize, that's probably around 31,000 range. And once it breaks around here, that's when it actually rallied all the way up with a huge intensity. So Bitcoin is right now, as you can see, the trend is very, very bearish. So 31,623 is your mark. Can you explain how to see that scanner? Well, you go to scan and you go to add filter, click a steady, and go to custom and paste the script that I gave and hit scan. So you will get all the scan results. If we identify a stock to make a call or put based on volume profile, or how to choose which strike, I think we already discussed that. um, how to read and understand. Not able to copy the chat contents in Mac. I will paste the script in the Thinksabio options group and stock group as well. Ramesh, if you want, you can copy from there. I'm also not able to copy from PC. That's odd, but I will share it in the chat, in the group chat. Is it possible to share the cloud study? Of course, I will. I will share in the group chat. Oh, copy seems to be disabled. Someone disabled the copy. Can you share the cloud color study? Sure, I will share the cloud as well. Are you able to copy? No, okay, same here. They're not. Okay, so you all want the EMA cloud script? I will do that. Share the script. Can you do volumes profile for Ethereum? I think we can do for Ethereum. I don't know what is the ticker for Ethereum. I'm not a crypto guy, guys. So is it Ethereum? Is this Ethereum? Okay, maybe it is. Okay, so yeah, this is Ethereum. So yes, it's 2,249 is your line on the sand, and if it breaks that, then not a good sign. Not a good sign. And we'll get mRNA. So one thing is, I mean, when the trend turns bearish right here or right here, don't long. I mean, you should also understand the clouds, the exponential moving average clouds. That's pretty important. I think I've covered it many, many times in the past, but look at the trend. Don't just buy anything. So we are going to close the session in next 2 minutes. I'm going to look at the last few tickers. mRNA, it's actually in a very bad downtrend. It's actually at a point of control 160. If it breaks this into below 119, it's basically not good. And AVAX, let's look at that. AVAX, what's that AVAX? It's not coming up. AVAX. I don't think AVAX is on Thinkorswim. LTC, is that a crypto as well, LTC? I don't know, man. I'm not a crypto guy. I don't even know what this thing is. So the cloud usage you can follow in the first session that's recorded, and LTC is a crypto. Yeah, I couldn't pull anything crypto. I may have to restart my Thinkorswim here, but I don't think I can pull up either LTC. I can only pull up yeah. So the previous sessions of ORB in Thinkorswim, I think it's the second session. So you can basically go back to the second session. It's recorded. It's uploaded into the YouTube channel, Thinksabio. So you can go there and listen to them. All right. Your prediction for next week or following week for beginners, I usually don't predict. I usually follow the trend. Right now, the trend is bearish, so I'm slightly bearish. However, even though I am bearish, then I expect a slight pullback into the mean and then followed by another flush. But let's see what happens. I'm actually expecting a pullback to the upside and then followed by another flush. So let's see. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for joining this session, and hope you learned something new today.